Good morning, everyone. Today is June the 14th, I believe. Is it? The 13th or 14th? I think it is the 14th. It is Thursday, the 14th. Today, Zoe and I are on our usual walk, which may not be usual today. Today is the day of sacrifice, I believe, which we have heard. And I've heard of that. The sun is looking very strange today. Hopefully things will work out. I'm kind of concerned about it because things are happening so quickly. Yesterday we had quite a wind here, and it was from the northwest, right past that towers of northwest, and it was quite violent. In Toronto it did a lot of damage. A lot of trees, and because the trees are so tenacious here from 2016 microburst, I'm really afraid to go out in any sort of wind. Not a big problem, right? Well, it is a big problem in a way. This is obviously connected to the sun. And when we realize that storms are from the sun ionization process, we'll begin to understand better how we can resolve it. And my theory was also to stabilize the core of the sun using, well, we could use our intent, which is always a good thing, but if it's coming from the core galactic, the central sun of the Milky Way, the central core of the Milky Way, the stabilization there, and the stabilization of us, and what we truly are, the process of which we're not fully aware of, a process of which we are learning each day. And I believe the aliens also learn that too. Each day we are all evolving, even on the multi-dimensional levels, because they're all existing at the same time. And even our super soul, which may be existing on a higher dimensional plane at the same time, while we're kind of a bumped out reality of a three-dimensional core, which might have other threads to different dimensions at the same time, which would make sense. So that the string theory is always interconnected to all dimensions at the same time in the singularity, or at least a singularity would want to do that. You'd think a singularity would not want to be a duality, or that uses duality for fuel. Singularity could be using the duality for fuel, which makes sense. Let's look at the sun again. This is at the anomalous curve where the sun often looks very odd, because I think there's a Quark-Khem process going on here. I'm not too sure, but that could happen. Yeah, I have to do some work on a lot of things, like remove some of my photographs so I have more space on the RAM so I can take more pictures and that sort of thing, you know? Oh, you want to see me? Oh, I can't do that right now. Let's see, I'm using the other iPad, which is rather large, and it's hard for me to do this, but I will try. Okay, about Solarionics. A couple of discoveries about the polarization, which is polar ionization, because it's polarization, it has to do with the ions, and they switch back and forth the various molecules. The atomic structure, I should say, switches, and what happens there. Oh, good, someone loves me. That's kind of them. So, yeah. And, oh. We the North. That's interesting. Okay. Pick it up before someone else does. That's always my theory. Not a bad one. There we go. Perfect, thanks. No, I don't smell beer. I think the rain probably washed out the beer can. There was quite a lot of rain for a while yesterday. Okay, so I'm studying Solarionics. I put the sun through, on my other camera, because I don't have the app on this camera, a polarization process. I do have it on the Sony Experia, the curve app, which has shown me a lot of energy symbols, and like really you're able to see for the first time what we don't see when we look at the sun. And because of the brightness, it's hard to figure out what's happening. So when we put it through this process, I'm sure they're doing it over at Soho or Suspicious Observers too, looking at the most filters you can use on the sun to figure it out, because there is a process of figuring out the energy cycles of the sun, which I was trying to do with Solarionics. And I have discovered a cycle to the sun which from 2012 was very dramatic, and then it's kind of changed now, morphed into the sun as being more or less a singularity energy more than a 3D fiery ball in the sky. So the whole concept of what is the